Good morning, AP Euro people. It is a Wednesday morning, and a quick reminder, our test is tomorrow, so make sure that you go back over things, that you're doing your homework today, because I promise you that homework makes a big difference when you get ready to, do I want these glasses, or let's see which glasses I'd rather have. Oh, I don't know. I'll stick with these because I'm in all black. That kind of looks scary with me all in black. Okay, so we finished page 14. We ended with what really changed for women, and not a lot, right? Women are still, especially under Protestantism, women probably maybe took a couple steps back. Catholic women still have opportunity to join um, um, the convent and be part of an active religious community. They can interact religiously, they can interact educationally. So for Catholic women, maybe a little bit step forward, but not, again, for women, not a lot. On page 15, you know me, I love a chart. I love boxes. I love things in boxes. And this is really a good place to contrast, where I've got contrast Protestant and Catholic doctrine. So if you're still unconcerned about the differences, because that, again, is really important as to what changed, what stayed the same. Also, some really great vocab is on that page. So I would really make sure that you take a deep look at page 15. I'm not going to go over it because it's everything that we've gone over, but it's just kind of in one place. And then on page 16 is a difference between Protestants and Calvinists. And again, if you're still struggling with how to study or how to prepare for test, rewriting things, as much as that is time consuming and it seems kind of difficult, that's always a really good place to start. There is so much research that what you do with this handwriting stays in your brain a whole lot better than typing or anything else. So our last little bit of notes concerns the Catholic Reformation. And we've been talking a lot about changes in Europe, and without a lot of focus on what the Catholic Church was doing to counteract that. And sometimes, again, as your notes say, this is called the Counter-Reformation. And it's important, I think, when we were talking all through this time, why the Catholic response didn't come quicker. And we mentioned it several times that there was a huge threat from the Ottoman Empire. Again, Ottoman, think Muslim, think Turkish. Those are all three this exact same group of people with three different names, which isn't that convenient and nice for students. So the Catholic Church is finally in a place where they can react to this Reformation, but it's too late. The Reformation has taken hold. It's all across Europe, and the Catholic Church has a huge choice that they need to make. And the approach they decide to take is an academic approach. So if we look at page 17, Pope Paul III is the most important pope in reforming the church and challenging Protestantism. And this is, again, what he does and what's really important to the Catholic Church. Those first two big, bold statements, rather than instituting new doctrines, rather than making any change to the Catholic Church, he says, all we're really going to do is improve church discipline. And I would really highlight that word, church discipline, because the point of the Catholic Reformation is that they don't make any changes. They don't change anything. And the Catholic Church in 1534 is pretty much the same Catholic Church in the year 1950 and in the year 1970 and in the year 2021. There have been changes in the way things run, but not in the belief systems of Catholics. So the Catholic Reformation was both a response to the gains of Protestantism, and then secondary, a response to what Martin Luther tried to do at the very beginning, change some of the church abuses. And had the church paid attention to Martin Luther, maybe this Reformation would have come about in a very different manner. So a big giant box around the Council of Trent. This is a really popular multiple choice question. Because there's so many things that you can ask about this. So the Council of Trent, 3 sessions, and again, look at the length of time. They start in 1544, 45. And they don't get finished until 1563. It takes them like 20 years to do this. So, one, it's a very methodical, very church doctrine driven, with a lot of input from different people. So, the important part is established Catholic dogma for 4 centuries. Four centuries. So, for 400 years, the Catholic Church never meets again like this until, as I suggested or told you yesterday, 1964. And again, those are a lot of events happening in the 60s. So, what this council produces, and that's why the College Board likes this so much, it's why it's an important event for both European history and the history of the Catholic Church. And what they say in a nutshell is, we are right, you guys are wrong, and we're not changing anything, and you should be very concerned about your salvation. That's in a nutshell. So what we have are really these 6 things: equal validity of Scripture, church, and the writings of the church fathers, and that's the Pope. So the Catholic Church said, we started with 3 things, we still have 3 things. And September 16th, 2020, they still have 3 things: Scripture, church traditions, and papal doctrine. 3 things. They don't change anything. Salvation by good works and faith, same thing. No changes. Protestants, you didn't change our mind. And we're very concerned that you did change your mind. All 7 sacraments valid. We keep the monasteries, the celibacy of the clergy, which is still, again, today, and purgatory. It's still there. Didn't go away just because you Protestants said so. The only thing, again, that happens different is 5 and 6. And 5 comes about, obviously, as a reaction to Martin Luther's prolific writing, like all those things that he wrote. And the church creates this thing called the Index of Forbidden Books. They still have it. My mother-in-law kept close eye on what was on the Index of Forbidden Books. And those books that supported Protestantism or that were overly critical of the church, they were banned from Catholic countries. They couldn't purchase these books anywhere. I don't think, obviously, the Index of Forbidden Books is does as much for banning books as it did then. I don't really think it's as active. I guess that's what I was trying to say. But it still exists, and I don't know how books get on it. I don't really know what books are on it. That might be something you can look at today while you're doing your assignments for today. But 5b is important for us. Anyone that possesses those books could be punished severely. And we know from the Catholic Church that can be quite severely. And then the last one is the reforms. This is what the Catholic Church recognized, that we do have some issues and we do have some problems and we do have some things that we need to fix. And one of those is selling indulgences. They don't stop it. Like, it's not something that they say, oh, we should never do that again. What they do is your notes say, curtailed. They pulled it back and really used them for what that they were intended, not to sell to raise money for a church. They stopped the sale of church offices. That was done. Bishops given greater control over clergy. Seminaries were created to train priests. And those seminaries that were created to train priests were this new religious order called the Jesuits. It's probably one of the most important orders that comes out of this time period, and they're called the Jesuits. They're the Society of Jesus, also known as Warriors for Jesus. And they have 3 goals. Reform the church through education, and that education is powerful. The United States has tons of Jesuit universities. Georgetown is a Jesuit, Xavier, Loyola, tons and tons of Jesuit universities, because that's their first calling, is to educate. I don't know if Notre Dame is Jesuit. I'm not sure about that. Spread the gospel to pagan people. So we're going to spread the gospel, and those pagan people are going to be located in South America and North America. And so for many natives in those areas, the first white face they see is a Jesuit priest. And then the last one, fight Protestantism. And this is their Warriors for Jesus. And the founder of this order is a warrior. His name is Ignatius Loyola. He was a warrior turned priest, and he created this order, or established this order, or ran this order like a military. And these priests were were warriors for Jesus. Native Americans in the United States, and what would soon be the United States, loved Jesuit priests because they could withstand torture for hours and days. They loved torturing Jesuits because they didn't give up. They fought back. Sometimes they let them go because they withstood torture so well. And one of the most important things for Jesuits, if I don't have it, let me see if I have it in my notes. Oh, yeah, it's on the other page. But just make sure you know that they are obedient. Like if the Pope says the sky is green, the sky is green. There's no free will. They follow the doctrine of the church. Beginning in 1542, Jesuits oversaw the Spanish Inquisition and the Italian Inquisition. And that, again, is looking for those Jews that were supposed to be exiled, that converted, that really didn't convert. They were Jewish in secrecy. In Italy, the Pope Paul IV issued a papal bull accusing Jews of killing Christ. That's where we come up with our anti-Semitic. And he says they killed him and ordered that Jews be placed in ghettos. So this is the beginning of the persecution of Jews. And the persecution of Jews go just sweeping through Europe at that time period. All right, turning the page. On page 18, the Catholic Reformation thus succeeded in bringing southern Germany and Eastern Europe back to Catholicism. And that, again, was the goal. The goal of that Council of Trent was to bring back their flock. And they were very successful. As I said at the very beginning of this Reformation, what will happen is the Reformation will sweep through Europe, and then kind of everybody goes back to where they were. The only places that remain strongly Protestant are northern Germany, those Scandinavian countries, and then England. In 1542, Papal Inquisition established in the Papal States, index of forbidden books strongly enforced. Heresy was effectively ended in any Papal States, and the rest of Italy not at all. And Jesuit schools will become some of the finest in all of Europe. Actually, the Jesuits will become some of the finest in all of the world. They're that good. So that takes us into the end of the Reformation. And it's a really, again, interesting time period that we started with this sweep across Europe of Protestantism, and we end up with that same broom sweeping Protestant out and putting Catholicism back in. Because today, 21st century, the vast majority of Europe is a Catholic continent and probably will remain so forever. So we have to look next at a little art movement. It's not little, it's gigantic, that supports the Catholic Reformation. So this is really important. Again, we'll talk about art in the way that it's reflected in history. And the way that this art movement is reflected in history is Baroque. And what we see in Baroque, it's part of the Catholic Reformation. And this Catholic Reformation is specifically done through art for those people that can't read. So if we look on page 18, Baroque art began in the Catholic Reformation countries to teach in a concrete and emotional way and demonstrate the power and the glory of the Catholic Church. And that's Baroque. And now I'm going to have to pause because I got to go to a meeting. And when I come back, we'll talk about Baroque. Okay, change of plan. I'm going to pause this one because I need to show you the Baroque art while we're talking about it. So this one stopped. So you have to listen to two lectures today. The next one won't be very long. So I'll see you on the other side. Bye.